Welcome to the Empower Network webinar with Matthew talking about health insurance and Medicaid options in the United States for 2026. Before we get started, just a few accessibility notes. First, closed captioning and a transcript of the presentation are available if needed. The slides and handouts are linked in the Discord channel for Empower Network members. Please let us know if you have any accessibility challenges, and we will do our best to accommodate them in future webinars. The views and opinions expressed in this webinar are those of the speaker only and do not necessarily reflect the official position or policy of the Empower Network. Speakers participate in their own individual capacity as representatives of their own businesses or organizations. We are incredibly grateful for the generous donation of their time and expertise to support our organization and our community. This webinar is sponsored by Verizon Digital Ready, a platform designed to support small business owners learn critical business skills at their own pace. Participants in the platform have opportunities to apply for grants throughout the year. 50 participating small businesses will be selected to receive a $10,000 grant. Applications close December 10th, 2025. Please use the QR code on your screen or the link in the description to sign up today and start learning. And lastly, the content of this webinar is for informational purposes only. Please reach out to the appropriate licensed professionals in your area if you need professional assistance.
Hello, everybody. My name is Matthew Perruccio. It's so wonderful to meet you all. Thank you, Stephanie, so much for having me on this webinar. And so today we want to talk about the whole big, health insurance world and having someone to help you, hold you by the hand, navigate you through this world. It's very important, especially at this right now as we speak. There's a lot of things going down, even with the government and what they want to do with healthcare. And it's good to have someone kind of hold you by the hand, assist you through some of the uncertainties of what will happen in the future regarding health insurance as well as with Medicaid. And, if you would have asked me, maybe 5, 10 years ago, would I be doing something like this? I would probably have said no. I was really involved in more of the nonprofit space from the age probably of like 16, 17, 18 years old all the way until, fairly recently. I really loved and had a passion to kind of serve those who needed help or were disadvantaged. And so I served overseas for a year and a half period in Asia, as well as continued to serve in the nonprofit for a 6 year period of time. But what I noticed when I was working with these people, they had this extraordinary passion to love people, but they were underpaid in this scenario, and whenever a medical occasion came up, they did not know how to pay for it, and they would end up being in medical debt. And so my goal is to kind of just help people to be like, hey, let's have something just in case anything were to happen, so that you can continue doing what you love to do, and not have to have a burden of a large financial debt for any time in the future. So happy to assist you, walk you through that. And that's kind of how I got started, what brought me to what I'm doing today. And I'm going to talk about three different kind of topics today. And I think this is accessible for anybody at any phase of life or even job status. All these will hit somebody or make sense to somebody, whoever is watching. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is Medicaid as well as CHIP. So, child health insurance programs, they change and they're different based off of states. I primarily will talk about Kansas and Missouri, where I'm from. The numbers fluctuate in other states. So if you had any questions about, hey, I live in a different state, I can help you with kind of showing you those numbers if you wanted to hear about it. But I'm giving like a case study just for Missouri and Kansas today. And then I'm going to talk about from there, say you make more than the threshold for CHIP and Medicaid. What does that transition period look like? Does that mean you have to go straight to this super expensive health insurance program, or is there a middle, place you can go to? Can you customize your plan in the midst of all that? And the answers to those are yes, we can help you kind of along the way there. And then lastly, we'll talk about, say, you own a company, you have multiple employees, and you make above a certain income or a threshold where you don't receive a subsidy if you were trying to get health insurance. We have a pretty cool tax allocation program for business owners where instead of paying more money for taxes, you can use that money you're going to give to Uncle Sam, reallocate it for the employees and the employers, to for benefits. So instead of giving money to Uncle Sam, you're giving it back to the employees. They're getting benefits. They feel free. Obviously, they're not, but we will talk briefly about that today as well. So let's just dive in and kind of just share more about that. I will start this by sharing my screen here. The first thing I want to kind of share is this is the updated numbers that I have so far for uh, it says July 1st, 2025 because there it hasn't really been an update since then. Every week they are changing some of the stuff for health insurance. This is an example for Missouri, and this is for CHIP. And so, if you make under a certain income, below 150% of the federal poverty line, you can sign up for Medicaid. Or if you have for them, it's like a deemed special need. There's like a list. If you have a special need, then you can sign up. I have a friend whose child has a specific special needs condition, and they gave Medicaid. It covers all, no deductibles and things like that. So that's pretty much going to stay pretty similar. The numbers may fluctuate based off of state, based off of what happens with Congress too a little bit. But after that period of time, if you don't apply or you make more than 150% of the federal poverty line, anywhere from that to around, this kind of shows you the numbers here in between for one person in between 185 to 150%. If your monthly income is around this amount, this kind of tells you how much your premium will be, every month. And I can give this kind of chart as an example. It kind of shows you, hey, I have a family of five. I make around, a little over 150% of the federal poverty line. I make around this much a month, and then the cost would be like $44 per month. Um, or for that one, it would actually, yeah, $44 per month for that. And so for this kind of plan, for these plans, you pay your premium and there is no deductible and there is no out-of-pocket expense. So this is kind of like a middle ground between Medicaid and a private health insurance plan. This is kind of like you could probably apply for these. And so that would be the second kind of step. Hey, I want to sign up for these, or what would it look like to get something like this? There's a website pretty much for every state, and you can go on and you can kind of apply yourself. I'm gonna have there'll be two links for Missouri and Kansas for how to apply for that in those two states. But any, state you live in the United States, they have their own deemed website for that kind of stuff. So so that's kind of a little bit of like the numbers there. I don't, I don't work in this space for Chip to help people sign up, but I help kind of lead them in that direction. If that works for them and they're underneath a certain dollar amount, I can say, hey, you can go to this website, and you can fill out these questions yourself. And so that's uh, one of the things we do for the child health insurance. Here's an example of the premium chart. But let's say, for example, you get this letter, and people get really scared when they get this letter. This letter is saying, greetings, you are doing so well in your business that now you no longer have access to CHIP. You no longer have access to those small premiums with zero deductible and zero out of pocket. And so the question that people have is, what in the world am I going to do now? Where do I go from this point? Do we go directly to like Blue Cross Blue Shield and try to get some kind of deal with them? Or is there some way that I can get maybe some kind of subsidy or some kind of help or aid so I don't have to pay the full price for health insurance? And the answer for that is yes, you can get some kind of help in between that space. You don't have to pay the full price. Depends on your income, but and so that's when you go to those individual marketplace plans. And a lot of people there's a, marketplace.gov. It's kind of can be tricky to kind of go through yourself. It takes over 30 minutes to an hour to kind of answer all the questions. You answer all the questions, and then you have this astronomical dollar amount for your health insurance, and it's all because you clicked one button incorrectly. And so I use a third party link called Health Sherpa, and this is basically a website designed to do less clicks. They say the average person can fill out an application in 7 to 10 minutes, and the answers are fairly easy and easy to click. It's actually developed to help people out so they don't have any major issues with that. So I'm going to do like a case study example of what this would look like. Here's kind of like a quoting, reference. So say I put in like a zip code. Oh, hang on, I got logged out. Um, 1 second. But this will kind of assist with kind of finding out, hey, what kind of subsidies are currently out there for me. So give me one moment as I get this access code here. My apologies for the delay here, but here we go. Okay, great. Um, so we're gonna go through kind of like, okay, maybe I got a denial letter, I can't apply for Medicaid um or CHIP. What is other options that are out there? So let's just say I put in, a random zip code, say someone's 35 years old, say they're married and they have, let's see, let's say they have like 2 kids. And it will kind of show you automatically. Say you make, I'm just giving an example. If you made $30,000, it tells you, hey, you are actually still, you may be still eligible for the Missouri CHIP program. And if you do that, there's a website you can go, you click this right here, and it just brings you to the website, and you fill it out, and you can apply. If you make more, say you made 50,000, it will show you, hey, the you know the husband and wife maybe for in this family, they can get an individual marketplace plan, but the kids will have to be on, you know, a chip, which would be better because there's no deductibles for that. It's just a pre it's straight premium cost there. So for example, this person makes $50,000, you get $887 saved. And there's another thing you could do too. I can kind of explain it, but here's an example of some plans. So this plan, if you zoom in, originally was $770. And they're telling you with this plan that the premium would be zero, which means they have zero premium and your deductible is $0. And then, but your out of pocket's really high. And so this means how much you pay every month. This means how much you pay before health insurance kicks in. And then from this number to this number, from the 0 to 9,200, health insurance kicks in around 20 to 50% of all the bills. So um, this might be a good plan for someone who, maybe they don't have any health conditions. But if you want something that, hey, I want something just in case, I want all my prescriptions covered, you can make the deductible smaller for this specific family, but you would have to pay a little bit of money. That would be an example here. And we can also find your doctor, provider, hospital, all the prescriptions you take. We can customize the plan so that we know for sure that wherever you go with, you'll be in network for the doctors that you need. So, and then obviously the higher you go up in like household income, say you make 100,000, you still get a pretty good decent subsidy amount, but the cost does go up significantly from there because the whole family now will be on the plan. And so it all is based off of like you put the household income in. This is also to clarify your adjustable gross income. Um, Talks to a tax professional about what that is. Usually it's on your your tax documents. I think it's like line 11 or 13. But again, talk to your tax professional. They will tell you the details about that. And so this kind of gives you a great way to kind of shop around. Also, I have a private URL where we'll have a link where you can actually look this up yourself. So if you put your information there, I can see what that you're shopping around, but you can do it all yourself. I can assist you, and that's free for me to do that. Like either you call a 1-800 number or I can talk to you. I'm offering that service for free to you guys. So that's that. And then let's say, for example, you make a significant more and you don't get any savings. This kind of tells you, okay, you're paying a large amount for your whole family now. So, is there any options for me besides an individual marketplace plan that's available? And to answer that question, you in this current market, if you tried to go with try to get a group health insurance plan just for like one person or a family, you're probably going to even pay more money than those individual marketplace plans currently in the market. That may change over time, but as of right now, that's kind of what we're seeing. And so um, I would recommend if by chance you like worked for a company, I would at that point it would be great to take the benefits from that company. Or if you have employees, we have some options where, like I said earlier, say you're making this money, you have health insurance, but you get a whole suite of other benefits that you can provide for yourself and for your employees. And sometimes they give like 100, $150, 150 to like $300 a month that you could use to purchase other benefits. And it's going to feel free because instead of using tax dollars, you're just taking that tax dollars you're going to give to Uncle Sam and they're going to give them back for benefits. So this is something that needs to be done through a business. Um, when I describe a business, I mean a business that has W-2 employees. 1099 they don't really recognize that as actual employees for this specific program. So those are kind of like the couple things in a brief kind of idea of the benefits. So are some of the things that are going on in the health insurance world, Medicaid, CHIP. What if I'm transitioning out of Medicaid? There are ways to do that, like I shared, where you're actually still not spending premium dollars and you can still get a pretty decent plan. And then there's a, spectrum of how much money you make that it kind of changes your number for health insurance, how much you're paying. And if you don't receive a subsidy, one way you can do it if you have a business is you can do these cool tax allocation programs. Or if you're self-employed, one thing you could do too is say you're paying a high cost for your health insurance every month. You can actually, again, you need to talk to a tax provider, a tax consultant for this. But a lot of times you can write off 100% of your health insurance premiums for if you're a sole proprietor or self-employed. So that's a little bit in a nutshell some of the things that we want to talk about today. And Stephanie, let me know any questions. I would love to help out.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a few questions that came through the website form when you all registered. So we'll just kind of start at the top, and a couple questions that came up during your talk as well. So first of all, I think the most important question is what's going on with Medicaid right now? And how in the world are we supposed to know over the next few months what is happening?
Right, right. Well, the best way I would say, the first thing I'd want to say is to not freak out about all the changes that are happening. There will be some pretty, a couple tweaks and some jarring things, but Medicaid itself, I don't think it's going to like be completely, again, I'm not, a fortune teller. I can't tell for sure, but there's so many people that need it for them to just kind of pull the rug out of it all at once. I highly doubt that will happen. Now, again, have I been wrong? I understand that I could be wrong, but I just want to try to help people out that even for the private health insurance plans too, they may change subsidy amounts, but there will be a subsidy available for people. Um, that's the latest training that I have gotten as well. So, and that's only like a week or two ago. And they give me, I'm planning on doing these weekly kind of trainings to kind of stay up to date on it to try to help people out. Because right now it's kind of all veiled. Like we don't know what's happening because there's a lot of arguments happening in Congress of the details. But I would like to assure people that it's not, I've learned this recently too. It's usually not the, somewhere between the best news and the worst news ever is kind of what we're gonna get from Medicaid and through health insurance. So I wouldn't want people to worry too much that it's just going to pack up and leave. But there will be changes, I think, but I don't think it's going to be that drastic. So um, unfortunately, that's the most I know about the details due to the changes. But I will try to keep up to date on those things on a week by week basis.
Yeah, perfect. I think having a professional is incredibly important to help you through this thing, especially when the rules are changing. It seems like every day we're getting new information. So that's great. Along that same lines, this question, running your own business can be really complicated financially, right? Like accidentally accounting for money in a way that the money is not actually in your pocket, but it disqualifies you from some benefits because it looks like you're making more money than you actually do have. So, who would you say is the best professional to talk to about pulling all of this together to make sure that you're doing it correctly? Is it a certified financial planner? Is it a tax professional, health insurance broker? Is it a team of all of them? Who are the people that someone needs to have in their court?
Yeah. So to find out, so to clarify, here's what some people do, which I don't like for some, why some health brokers get a bad name. They say, hey, you make this amount of money, but we're going to lower your amount to like a lower amount so you get a better health premium. But you're kind of lying. You're kind of saying like, "Oh, I just want a less premium." But what happens is the next year when you do your taxes, they find out how much you made, and then you have to pay all those subsidies that were given to you back in a big lump sum. And so we want to avoid that and do that as easily as possible. So the major one for the financial stuff is a tax professional. So find out, if your income fluctuates a lot, that makes it harder. It's like, hey, I made this amount this year and then I'm going to double my income because I'm self-employed. You can also change how much you make during the year on the health insurance plans. So for example, say you put down 80,000 and then around June you're like, I'm definitely going to go over 100. I can go in and say, hey, we're changing her number from 80 to 100, but instead of getting taxed with like getting those subsidies, you don't have to pay those subsidies back that you got earlier in the year. You just start from that month and you're just paying a higher premium from that month. So there's no penalty to change your income during the year. They actually appreciate it when you do that. When you're honest and you say, "Hey, actually I'm making more. I'm planning on making more. I need to update my income." And that's what I would do. So a tax professional will be the first one to kind of get your exact number. Yeah, there are things that disqualify you from, or you're like, what does it count? What if I get life insurance from a deceased family member? Does that count as income? No, that does not count as income. You know, or what if I'm getting, Social Security that, or maybe not Social Security, that was a bad example, but a disability, disability income, does that count? Is it a benefit or is it an income? These questions a financial insurance broker should know, but actually the one who would know more about whether or not it's income or not would probably be your tax professional too. So we work pretty close together, tax professionals and health insurance brokers, but we can't answer all the questions each other legally. So we kind of you find one that works in tandem with the other, and they can help get that squared away for you.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, another question. I'm wondering if there's a way for a sole proprietor or single member LLC to form a collective with other solo business owners so everyone can have a group coverage option.
Okay, so there's a way to do it. You would have to form like an association. Like, okay, I'm going to form this large association. There has to be some level of you guys underneath a similar EIN or, stuff like that. And if you're underneath some kind of group that has related interests, there could be a way for you to do that. However, I don't know if that's going to actually be cheaper for you to do the group option, unless the group decides to cover some of those bills. So, to answer that question, I would say it all depends on your income. Say you're making 40 grand and if you do individual marketplace, it might only be $120. But if you do a group with this association, it might be 300. 300 is still actually a good deal. It's still discounted, but it's not as discounted as a subsidy would be through the individual marketplace plan. So it all kind of depends on, will the association cover? Most people, this is one thing, kind of like a misnomer I want people to know about. People, they want to get health insurance through a group, but sometimes the group is shooting the employees kind of in the foot because if they did an individual marketplace plan with their income, they get a better option than doing a group health insurance plan. Because if you're offered one rule, if you're offered a group health insurance plan, you have to take that plan. You can't go with a health insurance individual marketplace plan. You have to take the one that your employer is offering you. The only rule is that if the insurance is over 9.5%, it's such a weird number, but if it's over 9.5% your annual income, then you can apply for an individual marketplace plan. Perfect example would be you make 100 grand, health insurance costs, let's say over $1,000 a month, then you can get an individual marketplace plan and it could be much cheaper than that. So,
Yeah. Okay, so let me just paraphrase that to make sure I understand. Okay. So we're in a small business
yep,
and there's 10 employees. And so we go and we get a group health insurance plan. That group health insurance plan costs each employer or costs the employer, right? 10,000 or sorry, $1,000 a month per person per
right,
employee,
right.
but the employer chooses to subsidize that. So the experience of the employee is maybe $300 a month, right?
That's right.
If you have a group coverage, like you were saying, creating an association, the only reason that that would be $300 instead of 1,000 is if the association chose to subsidize that in the same way that most employers subsidize their group health insurance. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say that overall. I mean, every scenario is different, right? So it depends on who is part of the group because they can do like a census of does anyone have any major medical issues? If there's multiple people that have medical issues that will be frequent users of the plan, it's going to jack your price up. And so that's one, it's kind of a nuance. It's unfortunately a nuanced question, but you are on the right page in saying that. The only way that that would change this year is if they just totally got rid of the subsidy altogether. Say for the individual marketplace plans, if they just pull the rug out of it completely, again, I highly doubt that will happen. I just think the tiers of how much they subsidize will change, but I don't think they're going to pull it completely. That would be the only time when you would go with a group plan. But right now in this current market, for majority of people who are not independently wealthy, going with a individual marketplace plan if they can would probably be better than the association.
Matthew, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure. Would love to help anyone that needs assistance with any kind of health insurance or at least lead them in the right direction. So,
This webinar has been hosted by the Empower Network nonprofit, a community of disabled and chronically ill people navigating employment and entrepreneurship together. Membership is $10 a month, and scholarships are available by application. If you'd like to get involved, please sign up for the newsletter and/or join us today. And thank you again to our sponsor for today's programming, Verizon Digital Ready, a platform designed to support small business owners learn critical business skills at their own pace. Join Verizon Digital Ready through the QR code or the link in the description to apply for your $10,000 grant.